So the question is, what is the mysterious Pokemon that is being revealed in Let's Go? Obviously, you saw the trailer, you heard the news, all that good stuff from the interviews and everything else. It'd be an unreleased new Pokemon coming to Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. So the question is, well, what is it? I think I know. Of course, I think everybody has probably been coming to the same conclusion, but I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to go and try to predict the type this new Pokemon's going to be as well. So let's just dive down the rabbit hole of the information we have so far. And let's start with Gen 1. So in Gen 1 we got Eevee in 3 evolutions. The 3 evolutions would be Flareon, Jolteon, and Vaporeon, correct? Alright. Now, the next time they released evolutions, they released it in pairs. From there we got Espeon and Umbreon. And after that we got Glaceon and Leafeon. And then, finally, we were left with Sylveon. Sylveon, of course, was not paired with anything. Which, of course, leaves a lot of head scratching going, why is that? Everything else, up to this point, they've come out in pairs. There's been 2 evolutions when a new evolution comes out. But Sylveon is by itself, for various reasons. Let's go with, start with, what were they showcasing during then? Fairy types. Therefore, Eevee got a fairy type evolution to go with it. A lot of other Pokemon also had their types changed as a result to the fairy typing. Changing types, of course, isn't something new for Game Freak to do, but you gotta kind of understand and know the Pokemon previously. What used to be a normal type, several of them turned into fairies for this new typing. So, with that, one would think, obviously there should be a pairing for Sylveon. But what would that pairing be? Well, let's just look at the previous pairings. Back in Gold and Silver, we got Umbreon and Espeon. And this is where I think I've figured out what the typing of the new evolution, if it is an evolution altogether. I mean, for all we know, it could be completely something different that isn't related to Eevee. But we'll go with Espeon and Umbreon. They complement each other. What was the new thing in those games when they came out? Time. If you never played them, I suggest you go take a look, or at least look up some information on it, but it had a lot of time-based things. As in time of day, you set a clock. When you start up the game, it asks you, what time is it? Is it morning? Is it night? And you put it in. It asks for the hour. It asks for the minutes. Because of this, certain Pokemon would spawn during certain times of day. As well as Eevee evolving, depending on the time of day. If it was night, you would get an Umbreon. If it was daytime, you would get an Espeon. Both of those mirroring the whole day and night cycle, in a way. At the same time, Espeon is weak to Umbreon. Now, let's take that, and let's look at all the rest of them. We have the 3 original. Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Flareon. Each one is weak to one another, or is strong against one of the others. It's sort of this nice little triangle weakness type thing, where Jolteon is strong against Vaporeon, Vaporeon strong versus Flareon, and so on. Our next evolutions would have been Glaceon and Leafeon. Leafeon, of course, is weaker to Glaceon, as grass has an ice weakness. There wasn't really a new concept really brought into the game during this time, although instead of working, say, off of the normal stones or the time of day, they worked on a particular place. You had to go find a mossy rock or the icy rock and have Eevee level up within their proximity to get one of the other evolutions. And then, of course, from there, we wound up with Sylveon. Sylveon, of course, based off of affection and everything, using the Pokemonomy, whatever it was, system, leveling up, and you would get the Fairy-type Sylveon, providing, of course, Eevee knew a Fairy-type move, which was the one thing that went with it. Since then, of course, I believe now it's been changed to just how well it likes you, similar to Umbreon and Espeon. The criteria, though, now is it needs to know a Fairy-type move in order to evolve into Sylveon. So, now we have to dive into the data mine of the demo. See, it would seem like Game Freak originally intended on releasing Eevee evolutions in threes, not pairs. So we wound up getting a pair, but if you dive into the data mine, Leafeon was already there. An early concept of Leafeon had already been started, which leads me to believe that originally Game Freak meant to release 3 evolutions every time they gave Eevee evolutions, instead of doing it in pairs. However, at the same time, several things took place between the demo and the final product. In the demo, Eevee evolved using stones just like the original 3. A Sunstone and a Poison Stone. However, instead of doing that, I assume somewhere along the way they decided to axe the Poison Stone altogether. And that idea. Which of course caused us to lose a couple of Pokemon as well that they had thought up with, say, Weepinbell's other evolution that never came about. That would have been using the Poison Stone. Similar to how Gloom can evolve using a Sunstone into Blossom. And since they took out that stone, they of course decided to take out the things related to it. However, they still needed other evolutions. So I think at that point they decided, well, since we're bringing in this day and night cycle, we should tie the evolutions to it. Also in the demo, Umbreon is a poison type, based off that stone that it uses to evolve. Honestly, I think they could have really simply just used a Dusk Stone instead. Of course, I'm going to have to dive in and look it up, because at the moment I don't really remember if Dusk Stone was actually a thing during the Gold and Silver time. It might not have been. It may have just been the Sunstone had been introduced at that point. But they decided to tie it with a day and night cycle instead. They changed the typing of Umbreon from Poison to Dark, and then we have 2 Eevees that complement each other. One is stronger than the other. While at the same time, it complemented the new features in the game. And from there, of course, you started getting other things as well. Glaceon and Umbreon. Glaceon would theoretically be stronger than Leafeon based off typing. At the same time, Leafeon would be stronger to use against, say, Vaporeon or Jolteon. As well as, say, Flareon being strong against Glaceon. And it sort of ties together that way, because once you start dealing with multiple types, the web starts to increase. It's hard to balance until you have one of every type to properly complement and balance everything out. From there, we got Sylveon, of course, by itself. I believe that they planned on having a complementary evolution for Sylveon. But at this point, they also were going by, new features and things that were in the game. Where Umbreon and Espeon, they tied it to the day and night cycle. They added the mossy and grassy rocks to the game in certain locations and tied those in for the other two. And then Sylveon, brand new typing fairy, was introduced. As well as back in Gold and Silver, Dark was introduced, therefore hence why another reason to make Umbreon a Dark type instead. To sort of show off those new things. But they only had pretty much that one new feature when Sylveon came out. So the new typing, other than maybe some of the additional things that were done on the bottom screen and other stuff, but other than that, there wasn't really anything big for that generation besides new Pokemon and the fairy typing. That was about it. So I think that they actually had a complement for that Eevee. And I think its roots lie in the demo. So my prediction is it's going to be an evolution for Eevee. To be more specifically, it's going to be something that Sylveon is weak to. My guess is poison. But they can easily make it steel, since Fairy has two major weaknesses, being poison and steel. They created the fairy type to sort of balance out dragons that only had one major weakness at the time, and that was kind of ice in themselves. So, I would go ahead and wager the bet that the new evolution, if that's what it is going to be a poison type. Just based on the fact that this ROM has suddenly dropped. And I honestly don't know why it dropped. To be totally honest, I think that is worthy of a discussion. Where and how did this ROM drop? I should do some research into that and see who actually dropped it, and how they got a hold of it. Because this is a ROM from back in the late 90s, when the internet was nothing more than a wee little thing, if anything at all at that point. Pretty sure we had dial-up back then. It's been a while. Anyway, so the distribution of information wasn't as easy as it is today, where we take it for granted, where we can just open up our phone, type something in Google, and boom, there it is. A lot of that stuff didn't exist. But I'm going to place my bet on it being a poison evolution. But of course, then again, it could be just a baby Eevee for all I know. They could just screw us all over and say, yeah, the new Pokemon, it's a pre-evolution of Eevee. Which makes me go, yeah, as cool as that is, and as cute as the little thing's gonna be, the little sucker, really wish for another evolution. Did you really have to do that? Of course, I wouldn't mind having a normal evolution or something too to go with Eevee to give, that as well, in case you didn't want to use one of the other elements. But what do you think? Do you think the new Pokemon is going to be an evolution? And if so, which type? And why do you think it's that? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you think it's something other than an evolution, let me know that too, and how you came to that conclusion. Until then, I'll see you later. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.